All right. And okay. Welcome everyone to another online travel education with Travel on a Dream. Today we are going to talk about Tahiti. And let's see. Okay. All right. Yorana is hello in Tahitian. Imeva is then welcome. So Yorana Imeva, hello and welcome to our presentation on Tahiti. Tonight we're going to go over traveling Tahiti, why choose Tahiti, when to see Tahiti, how to see Tahiti. So why go to Tahiti? It's a tropical getaway, yet it's not as far as New Zealand or Australia. And actually, I am going to pause this for a moment here. I'm having a challenge. There, okay. I couldn't see any of you guys and it was really bothering me. I couldn't see anyone. So here we go. All right, Tahiti is a tropical getaway. It's just not as far as Fiji, New Zealand, and Australia, which are all over the international date line. So it's only 3 hours further by air than it is to get to Hawaii, and it's also in the same time zone as Hawaii. So if you're used to going to Hawaii and how you can adjust to that time change, you're not going to have much difference going to Tahiti. Tahiti gets about the same number of visitors in a year that Hawaii gets in just 1 week. So there's significantly fewer people who go to Tahiti. So it's definitely a remote location. I did also see that there's fewer rooms in all of the islands of Tahiti than there are at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. So quite small, even though it does cover 118 islands. In Tahiti, they do have options that include meal plans. That's something you're not going to get in Hawaii in general, or in Fiji for that matter. So there is a way that you can make it an all-inclusive vacation. And overwater bungalows are definitely a highlight in Tahiti. Again, you're going to get the burras in Fiji. They do have some overwater ones, but they don't have the overwater bungalows pretty much anywhere else in the South Pacific. I went to see Tahiti. Much like Hawaii, it's got similar temperatures year-round, but it does have some differences in the seasons. Tahiti is the same distance south of the equator as Hawaii is north. But because they're on the south hemisphere, the seasons are opposite of what we see here. The temperatures are good year-round, but it does tend to be a little less humid in the winter, which would be our summer. And between November and April, that's considered their summer, and it can be humid and rainy. However, just to put that in perspective, Tahiti gets more sunny months and less rain than Hawaii does. So it's really not... It's not terrible. It kind of, when I was learning more about Tahiti, it kind of reminded me of an afternoon in Florida. You'll get a pop-up storm here and there. It'll come, half an hour later, it's gone, and you're back to doing things that you were without the rain. Regardless of when you go, hotel rates can be pretty high. So it doesn't really matter if you're trying to find a cheaper time to travel and you're staying at a hotel, it's not really going to make that much difference. Tahiti is also known as, it's officially known as French Polynesia, and it's also what people refer to as the South Pacific. This map is a good representation of how far Tahiti is from everywhere. 8 hours from California, 11 hours from Japan, only 5 hours from New Zealand, and then Fiji is going to be in between the two of those. And here's a map of the Tahitian Islands. It's known as, it's French Polynesia is the official name. It's also known as the Islands of Tahiti and South Pacific. They speak, their official languages are French and Tahitian, and sometimes you'll hear it called Maori. And English is also widely spoken there. For US, Canadian, and Mexican visitors, there's no visa required if you're going to visit for less than 90 days. And as you can see, there's quite a few islands, but there's basically 5 different island sections. The Society Islands are over where Tahiti is, where the actual island of Tahiti, and that's where the capital of French Polynesia is. Then you've got the Tuamotu Archipelago, the Marquesas Islands, the Gambier Islands down here, and the Tubai Islands over here, which I've also seen this listed as the Austral Islands. And so it's quite a big area, but one thing that, and actually that's coming up in just a moment here, the Society Islands are mainly, when people say they're going to Tahiti, that's the majority of them are going to be going to the Society Islands. Tahiti is down here. Bora Bora is another popular one, and Moorea. Those are probably the 3 most popular Tahitian islands. You may be familiar with some of the other islands, like the Marquesas Islands, that was featured on Survivor a number of years back, and the Cook Islands are another area that are just south of the Society Islands. And you know, there's been many movies that have been made in Tahiti as well, including Mutiny on the Bounty, and that one was such a popular movie and popular in Marlon Brando's eyes that he actually bought an island in French Polynesian, and he has a property there that you can stay at. The temperatures in Tahiti, as you can see, there's very little fluctuation. August is the coolest month with lows around 68 degrees Fahrenheit, and the highest temperatures in March and April around 87 for a high. Not a whole lot of fluctuation there. In rainfall, again, it's much rainier in December and January, but then it drops off quite a bit, and 7 inches in March is really not that significant of rainfall, but that, I mean, it's one of the higher months, just in generally speaking. How to see Hawaii? I mean, you've got some choices. You can definitely go on a cruise, which is what we will be doing. You can also do a land tour, or you can combine the two, and I guess technically we're kind of combining the two. Cruising to Tahiti, there's a couple cruise lines that will cruise around the islands of Tahiti, Paul Gauguin Cruises, Windstar, and the Aranui. Those cruises all go just around the islands of Tahiti. But then some of the larger cruise lines will also have sailings that will cover more area with a stop in Tahiti. Some of them, like Princess, will go from Hawaii to Tahiti, and then Tahiti on to either New Zealand or Australia. Same with Holland America. Celebrity definitely has one, and there's some others as well. Or you can charter a boat and go sailing around the islands of Tahiti. Here's the Paul Gauguin cruise that we will be on, and one of the floating bars that I'm sure a few of us will partake in. Some of the advantages to cruising is it's mostly inclusive. You're going to have your food and your beverages all included, some shore activities, definitely your room is included in that, and entertainment. You can save on travel time between the islands. Um, and spend more time on the islands if you're doing the right itinerary. And by that, the smaller ships that just go around the islands of Tahiti, you'll see when we get to the itinerary that we're doing, we've got 2 overnights and a 7-night sailing. Um, it's just that things are closer. And of course, the advantage to cruising in general, unpack once but see many destinations. The disadvantages, of course, you're not going to have as much time in each destination, especially with the stop when you're going on just one stop in Tahiti for the day when you're on your way to Hawaii or on your way to Australia. It doesn't give you as much time to explore the area. It's also not quite as local of an experience, but definitely the cruise lines that are focusing on the area, like Paul Gauguin, they are going to bring more local entertainment on, and to try and make it a little bit more of a local experience. Doing a land tour, because there's so many islands, you're probably going to only want to limit it to 1 or 2 on your visit. Papeete, Tahiti is the main international airport. So all your flights are going to fly through Tahiti. And to go to Moorea, you can take a ferry, but any other island, you are going to have to fly there. So this is a big difference between Tahiti and Fiji. In Fiji, you can take ferries between multiple islands, but not in Tahiti. They're just too far for the ferries to go there. So you're going to be looking at, it's similar to like in Hawaii, where if you're doing island hopping, you're just spending a lot of time in the airports and flying between destinations. You can get packages including breakfast and dinner. So that will help at least give you a good idea of what the cost will be, and not cost you more for the dinners. This is a picture of the Intercontinental in Tahiti, which is where we'll be staying before and after our cruise. And just a few pictures of some of the islands in Tahiti. And some snorkeling. Definitely a great place to go snorkeling or diving. And if you're not a diver, but you want to become a diver, you can get certified when you're down there as well. And you can combine both, the cruise and the land tour. Spend a couple days on land first, and then cruise for a week or more, and get to see a little bit of everything. One of the things that's really nice about the Paul Gauguin cruise, if you really are interested in doing an over-the-water bungalow and you don't want to come in too early or stay late, on the 2 overnight stays, you can get a room at the Intercontinental on Moorea and on Bora Bora, and that is an extra excursion, and they'll take you to the hotel when we get there in the morning, and you can overnight there in overwater bungalow. You have them deliver breakfast in the morning on a canoe, and then join back with the ship. So we are going on the cruise February 27th, and just to give you an idea of the value that you're getting going on a cruise to Tahiti, all the meals are including any alternate dining. Beverages are all included, including alcoholic beverages while on the ship and on the private beaches. Your mini bar is going to be replenished daily with soft drinks and mineral water and beer. Gratuities are all included. And then in category B and above, they do have butlers, and we'll get a sweet bar set up. Welcome flowers and fruit. And Paul Gauguin's prices also include round-trip airfare from Los Angeles or San Francisco, though sometimes it is definitely a good deal to shop around and see if that's definitely the best way to go. And if you decide you don't want the airfare, they do give you an air credit. So this is our itinerary, and as you can see, we're in each one of the islands at least 9 hours. And Bora Bora and Maria were there overnight and for the full 2 days. So it's nice. There's 2 private islands or 2 private areas that we would be going to. One is in Taha, and that is the Motu Mahana. And also, I believe the other one is on Bora Bora. There's a private area there that will go to a beach there. And here's just a map of where the ship is going. And of course, there's some nice eye candy in Tahiti too, for both the men and the women. And that pretty much is what I have for you. I am going to unmute you all and open this up to any questions. Oops, I didn't. There we go. Anybody have any questions?
What day would you recommend getting into the flying into LAX? I'm going back and forth between Wednesday evening and Thursday because of the test, the COVID test that's going to be required.
We are getting in on Thursday evening about 8 o'clock.
So you got to hope your plane goes, takes off on time and all that.
Well, we're on a flight. We're on a schedule through Delta the whole way. So we don't have to get our luggage and switch and recheck in planes and all that. So they're going to take care of getting us there if they don't. So I'm not too concerned about that. If I was switching planes, I'd get in there significantly further in advance. But I don't see a reason to go there the day before. And I don't know if you guys heard the news today. I think it was today that it came out. There's a couple different at-home COVID tests that you can get. They're just starting to come out with these more, where they guarantee you results within 72 hours. Basically, they overnight you the test kit, you do the swab, put it back in, overnight it back to them, and they'll have you the results within 72 hours. So, and I expect to see more things like that. I'm also hearing a lot more about the saliva tests, that they're getting to be more prevalent and more acceptable too. So hopefully it'll be a lot simpler.
Would any of the cruise lines start doing their own test?
It's very possible. I can tell you Virgin Voyages will be doing their own testing. We haven't heard from the other cruise lines what they're planning to do yet.
I would think the smaller ships, it would be easier for them, obviously, than a large ship where you get.
Yeah, the thing with Paul Gauguin, though, they could do their own, but the requirement to get into Tahiti itself is a negative test to get on the plane. So that's not a requirement from Paul Gauguin, that's a requirement from the country. And so it's still possible that the cruise line could say that they wanted to, but honestly, if you're being required to show it when you're getting on the plane, they don't really need to do it then. But they are having, Tahiti does require that within 4 days after arriving in Tahiti, you do have to do a self-test. And I'm not sure if that is a saliva one or a nasal one, but that's how they caught the one case a couple weeks ago. It was the second test. They tested negative before they got on the plane, and then they tested positive when they got on the ship. And because they caught it so early, they were able to isolate that person and nobody else was infected.
There's cruise or cats members or cruise ship members and also.
Any other questions?
So at this point, we don't have any idea. We know, I guess the 2 days at the private beach is sort of included. There's going to be no cost for that unless you're buying booze, probably.
Well, no, that's included.
Okay. The other days, we just have to wait until we see what type of cost and what they're including as what you can pick from on the excursions to determine that cost.
Well, the excursions, they are online and the prices are listed.
Okay.
But if you want to go like snorkeling off the back of the boat, or you want to go paddle boarding, or things like that are included. Now the only thing is, due to COVID, if you want to snorkel, you will have to bring your own mask and snorkel. They will have fins available, but they're not going to be sharing masks and snorkels. But other than that, normally they would.
What about beaches? Are they available? Yes, sure.
And at their private beaches, your beverages are all included there. They'll have bartenders there and they'll have food there. And so that's all included.
So on the islands, they take us to beaches?
On two of the stops, on two of the islands, they have private beaches.
What stops are those?
I believe it's in Taha and Bora Bora. In fact, I'm sure it's in Taha. It's Motu Mahana is the name of the area. And then Bora Bora, I'm almost positive, one of the out islands. So I'm not sure if you've seen pictures of Bora Bora. They've got, maybe I've got one on here. They've got, the main island is in the middle. Yeah. Okay. See the picture over here. This is the private area in Bora Bora that Paul Gauguin has. And this is the center island is actually Bora Bora. And then it's surrounded by other, what they call motus, which are little islets around the island. So, they'll take us to the private area, but you can also go into Bora Bora as well and do other tours.
So if any of the other islands you want to do a beach or something, you have to book an excursion.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're talking about, let me go back to the itinerary here. So Huahine, this one, that one you would have to do an excursion if you wanted to do something other than just off the back of the boat. Here's going to be a private beach. Here's going to be a private beach. And then Moorea, that would be another one you'd want to do an excursion. But you got 2 days there. What's interesting to note, when we leave Moorea, we leave there at 5 p.m. We get in an hour and a half later and we'll be in Papeete. So we overnight the last night on the ship.
Okay.
While we're docked in Tahiti.
Okay, so we're in a dock at 7:30 p.m., right?
Yeah.
So there's really nothing to do, or you have to book something to do?
You're on the ship.
You're just on the ship.
You're on the ship, but you can get off the ship.
Okay.
And there's something else I was just thinking, and now I don't remember. In Taha, if you are really interested in Tahitian vanilla, that would be one of the places you'd want to look for it. They also have the Tahitian pearls, many of the locations throughout there. There is also in Tahiti, right near the port and the hotel and the port are very close to each other, and the airport is right there. They're all really close, and you can go to the market, which is, it sounds like it's walkable or a short cab ride from there, but the market is open most of the days. So and that's something to check out.
Can you take the vanilla back home with you then? They don't have a problem with that?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
So do we know what the paperwork looks like for the COVID test? I mean, if you do an at-home test, I mean, I noticed when I looked on the website, it was real specific of what type of things you needed to show them.
Yeah,
Do you
I'm
have a
not
copy of
sure.
that?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen it yet, but and I'm sure things are going to change a little bit as
Yeah,
more
let's hope.
tests become available.
Yeah.
Tahiti Air, or Air Tahiti Nui has an agreement with several, I guess they're clinics in Southern California. So if you were flying, if you were going to be in Southern California for a while, they have instant testing that they're working with them for. So it's not Paul Gauguin's information what they need, it's what the country needs. And I'm not sure that what they're reporting is through Air Tahiti Nui. And so I'm going to take a look and see what Delta is doing. Now, Mark and Sue, you guys are flying on Delta?
Yes.
Okay. Tanya, Roz, if you come in a day early, you're going to be flying, well, Delta and Air France.
Right.
If you come in the day of, then you would be on Air Tahiti Nui. So I can check and see what the differences are with the requirements.
Do you hear anything that the cruise lines are going to provide testing?
I haven't. I've heard
Okay.
from a couple cruise lines, Virgin Voyages, MSC is requiring a test, but I don't know if they're providing testing.
Okay.
They're talking about a lot of the cruise lines may be requiring testing for cruising, at least initially, but you know, it depends on where the tests are at and how good they're getting as far as, you know, instant results. They may start doing them themselves.
That's what I thought would be the
Yeah.
easiest. If you pay for it and they provide it, it's kind of
Right. And that's, I mean, that's what Virgin Voyages is going to be doing. So I would imagine a lot of them are going to start looking at that.
okay.
I did some looking on kind of the entrance requirements and kept following links. And the one clinic that showed up was in Beverly Hills, which is not exactly near LAX. It's not far, but it's not near LAX, and it's $200. Not covered by insurance.
To get the test?
To get the test.
Not
So add
covered
that
by
into your
insurance?
budgeting. That's what their website said. So
What I have been told is it really depends on your insurance company. My insurance company, for example, if I have any symptoms, they'll cover my test. But if it's for travel, they won't. And I've seen the tests run around $100 to $200. It just depends where.
Okay.
U of I is actually using the saliva test for their population of students, and it's $10 a test.
Wow. And
you get a
that's
result
that's
3 to
what I've
6
been
hours.
hearing.
Yeah.
I've been hearing that with the saliva test, that it's a lot more inexpensive and a lot quicker too. So
Less
hopefully,
painful.
A lot easier.
you know, and I've just talked to a couple people today who had the nasal swab done. Have you guys had it done?
No, but our
No.
daughter did.
Okay. I've heard mixed reactions on it, that the only thing is that it makes you want to sneeze because they're so far back in your nose. But it really wasn't terrible for most people. So
She said it was terrible. They went
Okay.
past her eyes. She
Ooh.
thought, yeah.
See, I think I would just freak out with it, just thinking about how far they're going into my head. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I agree, they probably would go way past my eyes.
Yeah.
I've got nothing back there, so.
No,
Just
no gray,
space.
just
Just
gray
space.
matter, gray matter.
Can we talk about the stuff beforehand? Because I was trying to follow what you guys were doing. I think, Mark, you booked it already, and Tracy, you booked the nights before.
With the breakfast and,
Yeah, and actually, let's hold that conversation for
Okay.
just a moment. And I'm just
Okay.
going to see if anybody else has any other questions. And if not, I'm going to stop the recording. And then we can take that offline since it's specifically about our group.
Okay.
okay.
Any other questions about Tahiti or?
You gonna go, Kevin?
You want to join us, Kevin?
I would love to join, but I don't think I'll be able to.
Come on. What's
Come
one
on,
more?
it's going to be fun.
Then I'll start working on Melissa. Yeah, you.
Oh, I would love to go, but you know, unless somebody's adopting me, it's not happening. I have puppies on the way.
I'm gonna get your husband on that plane ride.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, I'm going to stop the recording and then